So you're doing all right?
I want to talk about it. I do totally have opinions.
You're already like 1 foot in the door with Team Hipster.
Well, I don't have the drapes, but I've got the ginger carpet.
All right, hey, we're going to be doing like a podcast type of thing, and we're going to be doing like we did distillery updates back in the day. We're going to do some community updates. Also, we got a bit of news, some new development.
That's right.
How far out are we? Like 4 minutes from
4 minutes from a phone call.
This phone call. It's a very important phone call.
Yes.
We're going to be doing that live on the podcast right here. But I think the most important thing we need to start with, Daniel, is the state of gimbal technology.
Yeah. Turns around. It's been around for like 65 years.
Look, as soon as they feel relatively confident, I'm down for the beta. I don't even need to be in the finished product. Just first in line. You with me?
No, definitely not.
You're not with it?
No.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
So let's get into some distillery updates for the next 3 minutes. Yeah?
Yeah.
3 minutes. So what's going on with Crowder Barrel?
So right now we are further down the path of figuring out the Mooch blend.
All right,
We've narrowed down some whiskeys.
No, hold on. This is what happens when we have a lot of internal things that we haven't really talked about at all.
That's true.
We just threw out the term Mooch blend.
That's right.
People don't really know what the
we
hell.
haven't really talked about on these channels yet, have we? Yeah.
No, people have no idea. It's like been you and Emma.
That's true.
Yeah.
And Alex in the last episode.
Okay. I think we did an episode that was kind of aimed in this direction.
We talked about what we're trying to do, which is source whiskeys from various distilleries, try not to depend too much on
we'll put that
the
episode up here.
MGPs and things like that, and get some craft involved.
Sure.
Since then, we started looking at maybe using like a base of an MGP or a big brand and using all the flavoring aspects from craft distillers.
Yeah.
And maybe creating more of like big batch runs.
Sure.
So that the goals are always the same, but the flavor might be different slightly.
So the simplest terms is having a crowded barrel release that
to retail
can scale on retail shelves that strikes this really nice balance between flavors that most people will enjoy. You don't have to be a nerd that likes to go exploring and be challenged. There's so much complexity. You don't even know what's happening in the glass.
But it's not so washed out that the whiskey drinkers are bored.
Right. Yeah. So I think we can find that balance. We've had whiskeys like that before.
The good news is we did narrow it down, we think, to 2 MGP options that could be the base of it, and neither of them are stereotypical MGP things.
So unique MGP sourcing options as the base, and then have we started to look at options for the craft accents?
Yeah, Em and I shot an episode pulling 10 different craft whiskeys that you and I have tried on the show over the last year or so that we really liked.
Okay,
we're gonna reach out to those guys first for an alliance bottling.
Okay.
And that way we get to see what their whiskey tastes like in a barrel.
Yeah.
And then that gives us a chance to maybe look at that could be a Mooch
So
blend.
using like the Alliance series, for those that haven't been paying that much attention, in Crowded Barrel we have whiskeys, we'll call them in just a second.
Yeah.
We have whiskeys that we're making. Right. Those Crowded Barrel, from grain to glass type of deals. And then we also have whiskeys that we're sourcing.
Right, like Eleanor.
And
but we age here.
We'll age here. We'll finish in, different kinds of barrels, experiment occasionally, maybe do like a blend of some stuff.
And then we have what we call independent bottling releases.
Yeah, the Alliance series that Crowded Barrel does is basically the barrel that we source from a distiller that we're a fan of. Yeah. They make beautiful stuff.
And we don't do anything other than change the proof a little bit or something like that because for legal reasons.
Right.
And then it releases as a single release. Yeah. Mostly cask strength effectively.
Yeah.
Of Balcones, Iron Root, Wyoming, Ranger Creek, Treaty Oak. We've done all of these.
So we're talking about using our experience with Alliance series releases as like an audition.
Yes.
Almost.
And it also lets us reach out to them in a way where we're paying them.
Yeah.
So they view this as a real relationship. We're not just going like, can we have a whole bunch of your whiskey? We're saying we already have an established relationship before we go to them with a scalable product.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Daniel, I think it's time. Now, as you dial the Magnificent Bastards in the Patreon, they voted on what still manufacturer needs to be making the still for the Crowded Barrel upgrade.
Yep.
What size are we going for?
It's around 150 gallon-ish.
150 gallons, and they landed on Abe Distilling, American Beverage Equipment.
Yep.
We're putting in the order right now. If the guy picks up the phone.
Yeah.
And if he doesn't, we're going to move on to the number 2 option.
Yeah. Let's see here. It didn't like me pasting. Can you remember this number for me?
I can.
Or write it down?
Yes, we'll edit this out so the guy doesn't get spammed. And close to the mic.
Hey, Beverage Equipment, this is Tanner.
Hey, Tanner, this is Daniel Whittington. We're recording right now, and I'm here with Rex.
Hey, Tanner.
How are you, fellas?
Good.
I've got you on speaker. I'm holding you into the microphone so that people can hear you talk as well. But how's it going?
It is going wonderful. I'm excited that we won.
Yeah. Thanks. You can go ahead and send that Porsche to Austin, Texas.
Now,
We'll send 2. We'll send 2.
You're so generous. So generous.
I like the cut of your jib, Tanner. My kind of guy. Now, Tanner, Abe Distilling won by a very healthy margin, and I know that there's at least one very main reason why you guys took the lead early and you kept it. And that was how open you guys are to helping us, just see what happens throughout the process, giving us those peaks, those updates along the way. People were super, super excited about that possibility. That's something that you're game to do, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
We've never done this before. What is the process? Like, what happens when we put in the order for the still? What are the main steps that we should be expecting?
So, what we first do is we'll get together. We'll conversation about what equipment you're looking for, and then I'll meet with my engineers, and then we'll kind of discuss options and stuff like that. It sounds like you guys just are going for just a regular hybrid system with a 4-plate column. Is that correct?
We were looking for the pot still first, and then we may or may not put in the secondary, because you guys had the column still as a separate connection, like in line, in between the condenser and the pot still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we were looking at that. Yeah.
Okay. So the one that you guys that I have quoted for you guys has the 4-plate column with the glass column.
Right.
And what we'll do is we'll start engineering it. We'll draw the still up for you. You know, even though it's kind of a stock system, you guys might want something that's a little bit different. Maybe you want a spirit safe that's on there. Maybe you want a different design of helmet or more plates, smaller deflagmator. There's a number of things that we can do to customize the system and make it operate to your guys' standards. So we'll go through the engineering process, and then we'll do layouts for you. And depending whether or not you guys already have your DSP.
Yeah.
The feds already have our names.
Oh yeah.
I'm being monitored right now. My ankle bracelet is blinking.
Hey, can you make a pot still shaped like Rex's face?
It would be delicious.
Beard. We could put a hell of a beard on it.
Done. Done. We're doing beards.
Done. Bearded pot stills.
We're upgrading to a beard. That's official.
Upgraded to a beard pot still.
Sweet. So that sounds like it gives us a lot of really cool options to sort of talk through things with the tribe on voting on, plates and size of things and helmets and whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can we do a Viking helmet?
I need a picture. If you can just sketch that out. The more rudimentary, my engineers love napkin sketches.
Oh, of course they do. Yeah. And we do only the best, like Waffle House napkins.
That's even better. Even better. Branded. Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Are you familiar with this new technology? It's in beta right now. It's called a gimbal.
Oh Lord, this is a. Why do I feel like all of a sudden I'm on Parks and Rec and we're the two asshole dudes on the radio with the guy in the background punching the? Oh, it's terrible. Well, we're gonna come visit, but that's just a helicopter ride that you're sending, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Done.
We'll send it the private jet and everything.
No, that's
Sweet.
that's too much. Helicopters.
Helicopters, yeah. Just an Apache. That's a 2-seater. We'll be good.
Dibs on the gunner seat.
Okay, I can make some arrangements.
Okay, sounds good.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, Tanner.
Thank you, sir. And I'm going to give you a call, and we'll get the first things started. Shoot me an email, and let me know what you need from me first, and we'll go from there.
Okay, guys, sounds good. like I said, we're very excited to be working with you guys, and our doors are open to you.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care, fellas.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
I need a napkin so I can sketch my gimbal. Here we go.
I can't believe you threw Gimbal into the. We just met this guy. This is the first phone call, and the question is, do you have a gimbal for this distillery?
No, this is the top of the still. It's the top of the still. So what was interesting about that is it sounds like, because we're not getting too deep into the weeds on that conversation. We're just saying, hey, it's official. We're doing this. But what's interesting is that it still sounds like even though it's a stock design, there's a lot
stock
of
components.
There's a lot of modification options and tweaking that needs to happen.
It sounds like what you're saying is like, okay, your car definitely is going to need wheels and a transmission,
right?
But there's a lot of options in those components.
Okay,
like what kind of wheels?
Yeah, we'll get into that with the MBs and the Patreon there.
Cool.
All right. Speaking of, I think one of the things I want to get into is the state of whiskey, specifically craft whiskey.
I was about to say that was one of the things I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, and the reason why I thought of that is the fact that the Magnificent Bastards and the Patreon are there. It's one of the biggest reasons why we're not spiraling down the drain now.
We have the luxury of right now. Imagine if you were in 2008 and somehow you were able to buy real estate.
Yeah.
Right. That's where we're at right now. We're in a moment where everyone else is most people are having to figure out how to pinch pennies, tighten the belt, hold on, and see if they can ride this out, because most avenues of sales have been closed to them. And we, because of the Patreon and the tribe, are in a position where we have to be careful.
Right.
We can't just be throwing money around.
Yeah, we're not fast and loose, but at the same time, we're not we're
not in panic mode.
We're not staying awake at night trying to figure out how we're going to pay people on payroll.
This is prime opportunity for us to double down on what's going to happen after this is over.
Yeah.
Right? How do we situate ourselves to be ready when this is over?
Well, and already, I think we mentioned it in a newsletter fairly recently. We're trying really hard not just to tread water.
Right.
We're saying, hey, is there a way for us to actually make progress as, messy and stressful as everything is right now? Can we actually make real progress, meaningful things happen?
Yeah, this is not the time to hunker down and just...
obviously, the investment for the still, that was planned long in advance before the pandemic, and we're not putting pause on that just because shit's getting weird.
Right.
Also, we're expanding barrel storage.
Yeah. So we are working on. Originally, we thought the easiest way to expand barrel storage is containers, because it's the modular. They're
talking about shipping containers.
Yeah, shipping containers. They don't have a lot of permits involved because they're considered temporary structures.
Right.
But it's Texas. Like, I've been inside one of those containers.
I mean, even thinking about it's like, are you going to put it in an oven?
No, yeah. Joe had a container over here before he did all the insulation and everything. He temperature tested it, and it was like 129 degrees inside.
It gets super hot inside.
So I was worried about that. I don't want to microwave our barrels.
Right.
But we were at Real Spirits, and then I asked Ty at Andalusia the same question, and we discovered that with proper ventilation, you actually and insulation on the top, like reflective paint on the outside of the container and things like this, and then proper ventilation, you can actually significantly drop the average and highs and lows of a temperature variation inside the container. Real Spirits was getting 10 degrees cooler than the ambient temperature.
Right. And they had it intentionally, strategically vented on certain sides of the container. Did they have any kind of fans in there?
Yeah. So one end a fan and top end's vent, and it just allows airflow.
And that's a situation where you can just have solar powered fans.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're working on that, and what that means for us is each 20-foot container instead of a 40-footer, just for space purposes.
We get around like a lot of angles on the property. It makes it tricky.
Yeah, we could get 30, 40 barrels in there.
Yeah, and then we could have multiple containers.
With the news still, we're hoping to get to where we're producing at least a barrel a week.
Yeah.
So that's a half a year.
And that's stuff that we're making, because, again, we always want to do making.
Right.
And then sourcing, and then blending and finishing, just everything.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's just of what we make. That's half a year we can fill one of those containers.
One of the things that is most exciting to me about increasing barrel storage capability is the amount of options it opens up for us and the MBs to vote on barrel sourcing, because right now there's so little space.
Right.
We have to be really selective and methodical about what we say yes to.
Yeah, recently we had a chance to buy like at a really low cost.
Right.
Like this whiskey that I thought was pretty decent, but there was all or nothing, and there was 75 barrels.
Yeah.
And we literally have nowhere to put that.
Right.
So we had to pass on it.
Yeah. But now, if we can expand barrel storage, we're not limited to, I think there's maybe less than a dozen open spots in the current barrel house.
There's like 6 or 7.
Yeah. So then we're going to be able to have more flexibility, more freedom to say yes to things.
Yes.
That we know this is a years-long commitment to just sit there and develop and mature into a good
That's
whiskey.
what I like about that. At that point, we can start figuring out like specifically and strategically what's in the main barrel house.
Yeah.
And what's in the container. And stuff in the container is stuff we set and forget for periods of time. And stuff in the real warehouse is stuff we're ready to move around and shift and dump soon or blend.
Yeah. Now, that's all about us, and, good on us for, good on you. This is all great.
Now, here's the real whiskey industry.
The flip side of the coin, the rest, not everybody, but most people right now are in situations.
The only exceptions to this are the people who have, for the last 10 plus years, been establishing a real brand on retail shelves.
Distilleries that are already established.
People who are coming to the store looking for their whiskey already.
Yeah.
Not exploring. But we ended up in a situation specifically in Texas where
the craft is specifically what we're
so here's
about.
what happened. Any craft distillery in Texas, unless you won Bourbon of the Year, Iron Root, or Malt of the World, Balcones, or Distiller of the Year, or Garrison, who's
nothing but gingers, hipsters, and rednecks.
Yeah, the Garrison who's got 5-hour waiting lists of cars in a parking lot waiting for a whiskey release.
Daniel, should we join Team Ginger, Team Hipster, or Team Redneck? Because those are the winning teams.
Yeah, all I'm saying is
you're already like 1 foot in the door with Team Hipster.
Well, I don't have the drapes, but I've got the ginger carpet.
Okay. I'm not going to be on that team. I'll go Team Redneck. Just all
right, fair enough.
Anything that's not on that team. Okay.
Anyway, so
those are the established brands that have so much momentum. They're good.
Yes.
People,
Now, most craft guys, here's your struggle. You make whiskey, and then you try to convince some distributor to pick you up, and the distributor's like, hey, we'll work with you, and they're usually a smaller one. And then they have to convince Total Wine and Specs and Bevmo and Twin Liquors to be like, hey, carry this totally unknown whiskey brand. They have they can only give you 1,000 bottles, and it's a year and a half old, and no one's really heard of it, but it's Texan, and and this is a struggle, right?
Yeah.
And in the meantime, you're surviving off of tasting room and growing your fan base and social media and stuff, and people come in and buy cocktails and tell their friends, and they go on the Texas Whiskey Trail and they try some of your stuff.
Yeah.
They buy 2 bottles, the maximum they can take home with them.
So
they buy a couple of drinks.
Let's just a quick aside.
Yeah.
We're talking about that delightful little rule, and there's some states that do this, but specifically we're in Texas.
Right. So we'll stick to that one.
That if you come to a distillery to buy their whiskey, legally you can't leave with more than 2.
1,500 milliliters.
That's 2 full-size bottles
every
worth of whiskey.
30 days.
Every 30 days.
Because otherwise people will be alcoholics.
Oh yeah, but if you go to the retail store, you can buy all you want.
Yeah, yeah, you can buy truckload. Because only alcoholics only go to distilleries.
That's proven.
They don't go to retail stores. Yeah,
and we certainly can't ship it.
Oh no, God no.
Because there's never been a country in the history of the world that has successfully done shipping of alcohol with the signature of an adult at the other end of that.
Everybody knows that when UK allowed direct-to-consumer shipping of Scotch, the Scotch industry, retail industry, collapsed overnight.
Science. Facts.
Yeah. Absolutely. And recently in Kentucky, they allowed direct-to-consumer shipping.
Yeah.
And 1 week later, all the retail stores in Kentucky closed.
It's true. That's true. We're just spitting knowledge right now.
Yeah. Factual facts.
Yes.
So,
but all of that aside,
here's what happens. There's almost no way to make money.
Yeah.
and And then you get things like COVID shows up and they close everything. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden in Texas, we're faced with this situation where at first they didn't even let us sell bottles to go. But now it's like, okay, people can come get their 2 bottles every 30 days.
Immediately leave.
But you can't make them any drinks. You can't pour any cocktails, even to go, right? And by the way, retail stores, they're still open and they're fine. However, they're also freaking out. So they're no longer buying as many things as they were. Yeah. And they're not cutting Jameson.
Yeah.
They're cutting craft.
Yeah.
And then, these alcohol delivery services like Favor and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, you can go onto those and order alcohol delivered to your home.
Right.
But guess what?
None of those have.
The stock that you use to select things, it's got Beam and it's
just basically
Jameson and it's got
the biggest brand.
Macallan, but it doesn't have Crowded Barrel, doesn't have Andalusia, doesn't have...
Yeah, well, basically craft.
Which is illegal, by the way.
Yeah.
But here's what always happens. One of the brands goes, hey, I went on Favor, and they don't have our whiskey, even though it's available at Specs.
Right.
Why not? And then our lobbyist calls Specs or Favor and says, hey, how come it's not on there? And then like 30 seconds later, they reply with an email, oh, it is. I know what you're talking about. And then the owner searches, and there it is. Yeah, that's how that works. So and here's the other problem. It's also a health concern. If we're really taking this thing seriously and we're trying to limit contact and limit the spread.
Yeah.
Or at least they should have the same rules as restaurants.
Yes, limited capacity, the social distancing, all the things that are going into place to make sure.
You can go to a restaurant and eat safely.
Right. I don't think they should be open just like nothing's going on.
I agree.
Especially because, quite frankly, whenever you're in that kind of environment, people throw back a few, inhibitions drop, and then you're having a good time. You're not thinking about it to the extent that you should be thinking about it if you want to make sure you don't get sick, you don't get other people sick.
Everyone's been around a mildly inebriated close talker.
Oh my.
I'm just saying.
Right. That happened to me in the early days of the Rona.
Yeah.
And we're about a week into it. Nothing's closed down yet, and it's our festive Australian.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
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 He's like right here, and he's delightful, one of my favorite people in the world.
Luckily, never gotten corona.
Right,
so
but
far.
there was that tipping point where you're starting to think, hey, should I be doing masks and social distancing? Wham, right there. Hey, buddy, what's going on?
Yeah. So I think if restaurants can be open, then bars should be open, and tasting rooms should be open. Period. With the same rules. I'm fine with the same rules.
Right.
But that's just, if you can go and eat safely, then you can order a drink safely.
Well, and the same. Go ahead.
Well, at the same time, I think that's not really the main point.
Yeah.
The main point is we're in this moment where everyone is saying you should be as safe as possible and limit contact as much as possible.
Yeah.
Followed by the governor saying, yeah, but if they want your products, they have to come visit you in person.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Right.
You're telling me that we could actually take this and put it in a box, have the whole sanitized process, send it straight to their door. They never have to leave their home.
Right.
They don't have to go out in public. They don't have to risk anything.
Right.
But no, they need to get in the car, drive to our door, walk in and have an in-person contact in order to get our whiskey in order to be safer.
Yeah. So we're talking about the laws that have prevented the shipping of spirits forever
in Texas, well, at least since Prohibition.
Yeah, and a lot of other states as well. And the reasons why those laws are in place at this point, there for a while there was some justification. It was like, well, it's just safer, and we want people to not necessarily have the kids access to it. But at this point, the countries have been doing it for years. There's a way to do it safely to where only the adults are getting, the alcohol that's being ordered.
At this point, it's 100% protective.
It is. It's protective of
certain industries.
Of people who are donating to politicians to keep these laws in place that protect their bottom line, which, from a business perspective, you know what? It's capitalism. It's cutthroat. You want to get yours, and there's competition and all that. So I understand this simplistic view of, no, they have to come through us for everything. Well, one, you don't have everything.
Yeah, that's my biggest frustration is that you have a craft distillery who makes like 15 things. You only carry one because you refuse to carry the others, but you don't want to give them an outlet for the other 14 things they sell.
And I think this is a good moment for us to say, we're not advocating for our own self-interest. We've never even made anything available for retail shelves before.
No,
this
because
is a craft.
Never makes it.
No, but like it gets sold out in the tasting room before you know. Yeah, so people can someday pick it up eventually.
This is not a Crowded Barrel problem. This is a craft industry problem.
Right.
And that leads me in another thing that I wanted to say, which is recently I've watched this curve happen with us.
Yeah.
I've been seeing it on the channel.
Yeah.
And it's over the last 4 years we've been reviewing things.
Okay.
I've watched craft go from this weird outside like it or don't like it kind of flavor variance, weird shit to the last year.
Yeah.
We've finally reached the point where craft is growing up and they're all closing in on a decade of being open plus.
Yeah.
And they're making some of the best stuff they've ever made. And relentlessly in the last year, I keep seeing craft step up and make stuff that can stand toe to toe with any of the biggest historical brands we've ever tasted.
You and I just got finished shooting a couple of Whiskey Vault episodes right before we came here to do this.
Right.
Whiskey Vault is our channel where we do nothing but whiskey reviews, and we've done like somewhere around 2,000 whiskeys at this point, and you better believe a lot of those are craft. And you're right, in the earlier days, it's like craft is very much hit or miss, and there's more misses than really you're comfortable with.
Right.
And the big guys, they're consistent, the quality's there. The missteps are rare. They can happen with the big guys, but they're rare. And I mean, even just anecdotally, within the last 7 craft bottlings we've done, we're looking at it and we're like, all right, well, here we go. This is
Holy
God,
crap.
this is phenomenal. This is toe to toe with some of the best whiskey I've had from big name brands. Award-winning brands anywhere in the country, and these are from like random places. Alabama, you got what was 71 degrees west. California's making some amazing stuff. Oregon's making the Pacific Northwest. There's tons of places, Kentucky included, but outside of Kentucky that you would never expect to be making phenomenal whiskey, and it's just
even Alabama. Who knew?
Even Alabama.
No, my great fear is that we've
Florida. Florida was
Florida,
another one.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
We've stepped into like the heyday, the golden era of American craft.
Yeah.
At the same time that distributors and retailers are trying their best to keep all the rules in place that make sure that most of them die forever.
Yes, that's very frustrating from like the industry perspective, but from a consumer perspective.
That's what I mean from a consumer.
From a consumer perspective, what's so frustrating is whenever we have like the Whiskey Tribe social groups.
Yeah.
And all of the discussions they're limited to the big brands because that's what people can get their hands on. And you and I are in this very fortunate, privileged position. Thank you for putting us in this position of being able to have tasted the breadth and depth of what's happening in whiskey right now.
Right.
And we know there's another level. There's flavors, there's palates, there's notes, there's bottlings that you can't find on traditional retail selections.
And right now the only way to get it is to fly or drive to that state and that town and try to pick one up if you can.
Right.
And that's insane.
Yeah. Not that we have a strong opinion about any of those things.
Yeah.
All right.
Sweet Jesus.
Okay. I asked you, well, first of all, I'm unsure when this episode is going to come out. Is there something that...
It may need to be sooner.
This episode may need to come out sooner.
Not like this weekend, but it might need to be next weekend.
All right. You know what? We're going to bump this up.
I know.
Okay. And this is... the recording of this is tricky because there's an opportunity that's being presented fairly recently within the state of Texas, and it's a long shot.
It's a long shot.
But
it's a very long shot.
But also... it's potentially game-changing. What has developed recently?
Okay, I would argue that it's also the best long shot we've ever had. It's still a long shot, but it's the best one we've had.
So what's going on?
What's happening right now is that consumers are finally starting to wake up to the situation that craft distillers are in.
Right.
And so the distillers have always known it, and the retailers and distributors have always known it because they helped keep it that way. And anytime the distillers have gone, we need a way to get to our consumers. We need to be able to ship to people. We need to lower the bottle limits. We need to be able to run our actual business and make actual money like everyone else does.
Yeah.
And the distributors have said, we're going to make sure that these politicians never let that happen.
Yeah.
And the retailers have said, we're going to make sure the politicians never let that happen.
Right.
But right now, consumers are starting to become aware, wait, you can't what?
Right.
You're not allowed to what?
Yeah.
And so for the first time,
Like, I can't get something delivered to my house. I can't get more than 2 bottles picked up at that distillery
Wait,
down the road.
Why?
Right.
So right now we have this opportunity for consumers to begin the grassroots movement that gains enough momentum that the politicians have no choice but to stop paying attention to where the money's coming from and start paying attention to where the votes are coming from.
Yeah.
Right? And to do that takes money. So what we're about to start fighting for right now is direct to consumer shipping and delivery from Texas distillers.
Yeah, from Texas distillers shipping out to anywhere.
Yeah, direct to consumer shipping and delivery. And it's important that those two be together, shipping and delivery.
Right.
Because the law views those as two different things. And removal of all caps of how much whiskey you can sell through your tasting room like that or direct to consumer.
Sure.
Right? Now, still a long shot and the money is against us.
Right.
But we have a chance here to raise some grassroots money.
Right.
And
so
by our math,
basically we're talking about the Texas Whiskey Association. This is the collective of a lot of craft Texas distillers, and there's some big guys in there too.
Now, we're not the only ones.
Okay.
The Texas Whiskey Association is getting on board.
Yeah.
But the entire Texas distillation industry
so across
is on board
all
with this.
spirits in the state of Texas.
And we have support from the wine guys and the beer guys.
Beautiful. So beer, wine, gin, vodka, rum, whiskey.
Name it.
Yeah.
We need to be able to survive this shit, and this is one of our only chances.
So we're trying to create a situation where we're trying to spur a conversation in the government, the decision-making powers that be in the state of Texas. It's like, hey, we need to let these guys ship their product.
Yeah. One, just because that's good business, and two, because if you're really concerned with trying to keep people safe, it's a hell of a lot safer to ship than it is to drag 20 people in your tasting room.
A hell of a lot safer, but at the same time, I mean, let's put ourselves in the shoes of a politician, right? It's like, well, I'm looking at the pros and the cons. What are assets that I can hang my hat on come election season? What are the liabilities that could be a detriment to me?
I'll tell you the two main things.
Go ahead.
The two main things are jobs in your community. And that's not just distillery jobs. I mean, a craft might just have 4 to 20 people for a real small one, but you're not counting on the farmers making the grains and the industry infrastructure for like waste disposal and all of the different. There's countless impacts. We're talking hundreds of jobs per distillery. Impacted by this.
The electricians, the construction crews, the people we employ in the bar,
farmers,
and the barrel house, and
right. I mean, this a distillery closes, it impacts hundreds of people. Right. Not just people wanting to buy whiskey. Right. And second, tax income.
Yeah.
Right now.
Here's the thing. Let me put it this way: the level that spirits are taxed, it's, but if we can get shipping. Fine.
All the taxes are still paid. Right?
And it's more revenue.
Go look at the amount of revenue provided by a craft distillery in your district.
Right.
It is not small.
If they're able to move more product, that's more tax revenue, which is something that politicians can hang their hat on.
Yes.
The other thing is, and this is not a small thing, what is developed in the state of Texas in regards to tourism when it comes to whiskey. Texas, the whiskey scene that is still in its early days, it's like a decade-ish old for the oldest distillery that's making whiskey right now. But the momentum and the enthusiasm that has come of age in recent years.
Even in the last year, we've had hundreds of people come to Texas specifically, and it's probably thousands, but I'm going to limit it to 100 for confirmed. I know of hundreds who are only coming here to roam the Texas Whiskey Trail that we recently started.
Well, hold on a second. I thought you were going to say just a crowded barrel.
Yeah,
because you're saying maybe thousands, definitely hundreds, just a crowded barrel. It's like, wait a minute, you said
it's going to be
maybe
more.
Hundreds just to the Texas Whiskey Trail. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
I'm saying
I know.
Hundreds, maybe thousands, just to our distillery.
I'm probably playing it safe.
Yes,
but guess what? When someone comes in from Florida or from Washington or from New York to buy $100 worth of bottles at Crowded Barrel.
Right.
Guess what else they're doing in our area?
You got the hotels, you got the restaurants, you got
gas.
Yeah, all of those things.
Everything.
I mean, hell, man. I think you were teaching class or something yesterday. I went up to the front of the property, and there were two magnificent bastards that drove in from Gettysburg.
Yeah.
To come to Crowded
yeah.
Barrel and to pick up their bottles, and they were hanging out with Emma. They had their masks on and the whole bit.
Yep.
In the middle of a freaking pandemic.
Yep.
That's how serious they were about coming down and experiencing Texas whiskey.
And that tourism impact is not small, and it impacts every single district
Right.
where a distillery is.
Yeah. Who's going to carry this water? Because we don't know how to talk to politicians. We don't know how to have these conversations, instigate these changes.
We do have a group that is backed by a specific spirits pack, a Texas Spirits Pack, Political
Okay.
Action Committee.
Okay.
And these are guys who have spent decades working in politics and lobbying and working with, and specifically in Texas, but also Washington.
So they've rubbed the shoulders. They know the
Yes.
people. They know this is where I go to have the right conversation at the right time. Okay.
They just need the money because this thing takes money to run.
So basically, let's be very clear. We're talking about a lobbying effort.
Yes, 100%. This is politics.
This is special
we
interest.
Just got into politics.
This is special interest. This is lobbying to get the very specific changes.
Right.
The only way that they can be made, that's politically.
Right.
Okay. So a lobbying effort, and we're going to do. We want to fund that effort with who? Because I mean, we got the Whiskey Tribe, we got the Magnificent Bastards. They got our back, but I don't know if this. I mean, as big as engaged as our community is, I don't know if it's enough to change
Everything.
the political will in a state as big as Texas.
Keep in mind, what we're about to launch, every distillery is going straight to their own customers.
Okay.
Like their own fans.
Okay.
Right? Not just drinkers.
Right.
But people who specifically know them and love them.
Right.
And asking them to get involved.
Okay. So this is what you were asking me about. You were
Yeah.
saying, hey, is there a way for us to basically invite the Magnificent Bastards, the Whiskey Tribe,
Yeah.
the Crowded Barrel enthusiasts and customers to help fund this effort
Right.
to get whiskey shipping and to get the limit of whiskey pickups lifted from 2 to whatever
Right.
the hell you want to buy.
And you need a number because you can't just say, look, let's have some money and any little bit helps.
Right.
In my head, when we were running the numbers and we were talking with Spencer and the guys who were, Trey,
Right.
Mark Schilling, who were behind this originally, what they were saying is like, look, if all the Texas distilleries and even just Texas Whiskey Association.
I'm shifting gears here.
Yeah, me too. Even just Texas Whiskey Association, but if all the distillers could go each out to their people and say, look, just once this month or
Right.
next month, instead of buying a bottle from me,
Right.
donate that money to this effort.
So like,
So $50.
yeah, our bottles are $50 usually on average. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So this month, instead of buying a bottle from the distillery,
Yeah.
spend $50, the same $50,
Right.
and let's see if we can get some real money and some real action behind this thing.
Okay. Right.
We're trying to get to at least $250,000 between all of the distilleries.
Here's the thing. I'm going to pat ourselves on the back because for us to be this many years in creating content, for us to have tap danced around all things political as successfully as we have
Until now.
for so long,
Yeah.
I think this is such a relevant and rare opportunity.
Yes.
Right? If it was not relevant to the whiskey scene, it's like, okay, we're not going to mess with it. It's not what the Whiskey Tribe's about. We exist to be an escape from all of that bullshit
Yes.
that is like tedious and stressful, and you just want to relax and hang out with your people and
But
enjoy
look,
some good whiskey. But this is so relevant.
We're in a crux moment, man. There's a very real chance we could lose half of the craft distilleries in the U.S. by next year. We got to do something.
But because this is a lobbying effort, we do have limitations. It's not like we can say, hey, you fund this and we can do like this special bottling.
Yeah, that's illegal because
Yeah.
that's alcohol incentive promising.
Right. So I have been working with our new e-commerce guy. He's building a brand new Whiskey Tribe website. It's going to have the community elements. It's going to have the merch store elements. We're not going to be sold out of stuff nearly as much.
People will like that.
I mean, it's so multifaceted. We have a product fulfillment warehouse. There's a company. There's a team of people. There's like the breadth
Right.
and depth of things that have been invested into that.
Right.
Whiskey Tribe, new website that's launching probably in the fall. And I think the most relevant thing that we could do is everybody that steps up and helps fund this effort. Yes, it's a long shot. Yes, it may fail. But if it doesn't fail, it's freaking game changing.
No, totally. For everyone, not just for us.
So I'm saying best case scenario, everybody that steps up and donates $50 to this fund. Best case scenario, we get some shipping.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, we're going to give all of those magnificent bastards, because we're going to have access to the email addresses. We confirm
Yeah,
this.
we'll have access to all the information.
We're going to send those magnificent bastards a year of free shipping.
Right.
Whenever the new store launches this fall.
Right.
The merch stuff on the store. You know what? Shipping's always the biggest.
That could be
most
2 orders,
annoying.
man. 2 orders and $50.
Right.
Because we're not Amazon.
No, we're not Amazon.
It's so frustrating
Right.
when in a world that's used to Amazon for
So
people to realize what shipping actually costs.
We're going to give you a year's worth of free shipping on the new Whiskey Tribe website.
Yep.
And that's easy to establish. There's like, I checked with Glenn. Glenn's our e-commerce guy. So, oh yeah, we could send them like a
Wait,
code.
wasn't he a lizard?
Glenn Lizard? No, this is Glenn.
Okay.
Glenn.
Not Lizard Glenn.
No,
Okay.
that's the shitty ninja.
Oh, okay.
Glenn Lizard, the shitty ninja,
Okay.
was a different Glenn.
Fair enough.
This is Glenn.
Okay.
Glenn is the e-commerce guy, the merch guy. And I checked with him. We have their email. We can send them codes.
Okay.
Right? So
Yeah,
they
it's
can do
like
the
a
free
coupon
shipping for the
code,
year.
yeah, okay.
Or they can just, a really simple way to do a customer account.
Oh, okay.
Where they can log in with your account, push button
We'll
type
figure
of
out
deal.
how it works.
It's very simple. A year of free shipping, and whether or not we're making merch profit at that point, I have no idea. But that's how I think is probably the most relevant way, and probably, I hope, is one of the most appreciated and valued ways that we can give back to you guys, giving towards this effort of
I think that's best.
Yeah, help us chip away at this problem, man.
Yeah, and look, we were looking at this situation last year and thinking like, this is a 10-year problem.
Well, I mean,
and right now,
yeah,
we're faced with this has to be a 1-year problem, or half of us won't be here anymore.
Yeah,
this is important.
Okay, so shifting gears, Emma is actually throwing some elbows in the distillery.
That's right. So she's working to start
right alongside Deb.
Right alongside Deb, doing all the distillation and for everything from picking up the fermentation all the way through running stripping and heart cuts.
Yeah,
all the way through to putting it in a barrel.
Because Deb has been kicking ass and taking names on that small still, and we're getting her locked and loaded with that big still. We had the conversation earlier with Tanner from Abe. And I mean, that's going to be such an increase in production capability,
and
like that pipeline.
This is no longer a 1-person job.
Yeah, and to have, and I was really, I don't know why I was surprised, but I was pleasantly surprised whenever Emma said, like, oh, I really want to learn how to do this.
You want to know why?
I had no idea.
Emma is so serious about whiskey tastes and whiskey tasting and blending that she is doubled down on trying to understand where every different flavor comes from that she ends up having to deal with in the barrel house.
Yeah.
She's interested in knowing at what part the things show up that she is dealing with when she's blending.
Yeah, because I know in terms of tasting and picking apart a whiskey, she's been a badass for a long time.
Yeah.
I mean, she's invited to other award-winning distilleries, like people that are best in the world, such and such type of whiskey, and they invite her to get that fresh perspective,
right?
That second opinion, and she comes in, and it's not because I was like, oh, this will be good exposure because it's the Crowded Barrel Whiskey Tribe guys. We never talk about that.
No,
they know we're not going to talk about that. And
there's no marketing involved.
And they don't, put her in front of their social media. And it was like, look, we got Emma from Crowded Barrel. That's purely because of her skill set when it comes to tasting and understanding whiskey. And that makes sense. I mean, the fact that she wants to take that to the next level.
Yeah, there are flavors that show up in fermentation. There are flavors that show up in the cuts. And she's trying to get a handle on all of those things.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm very excited about that. And the timeline you were telling me, that was very quick.
Yeah, it was like we talked about it last week, and she started yesterday.
Right.
And then like next week, she's going to start doing runs. Yeah.
Okay. Any other developments on the distillery side of things?
Just trying to figure out how we accommodate the growth that we are planning and hoping for.
Okay.
And that's it. I mean, you'll know about it as it happens for sure.
So the link to fund that effort, so the reason why this was kind of awkward for us to have the conversation right now, because there's a page.
Yeah, there's going to be a landing page that's ours specifically.
That we haven't seen it yet.
We haven't seen it.
We're going to, here's the link on the screen, and it's also linked in the description below.
Yeah, we'll put it in there.
Now, I will say this. Before we put any damn thing on this video or in the description, we're going to check out this page, and we're going to triple confirm.
Yes.
Because we already had these conversations.
And I'm going to do it by donating.
We're going to triple confirm that these emails aren't getting shared out to other political efforts, because I'll be damned if the Magnificent Bastards are going to step up for this effort and get spammed by political bullshit and other stuff.
No, that's already been done.
Okay.
We've already done the due diligence. I've had 3 phone calls.
So you already triple checked?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I had 2.5 phone calls.
Well, one more half phone call before we put it on the screen.
No, because one of the phone calls had 3 people on it.
Fair enough.
Okay, so I'll call it 2.5.
Right. Anything else distillery related before we move on?
No, I think that's it.
Okay, so Daniel, I asked you.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Wait. Why are you getting...
Because your voice did that thing where you changed into, I'm about to do something Daniel doesn't like.
No, I'm about to do something you will totally like. Because I asked you.
See? There's the voice. There's the voice. Son of a bitch.
No, I asked you yesterday. I was like, hey, we're doing the podcast shoot. You really? You fugger.
I need this.
You fugger. You had a heads up that we're doing a podcast type of shoot today. And I was like, man, just bring a couple of things that you want to talk about.
Yeah, those were the 2 things that happen to be the same 2 things you wanted to talk about.
No, that was not what you said.
Oh. I remember.
Right. You told me you wanted to talk about 2 things. The first of which was Enneagrams. Hold on. And the second of which, and you hold on. He may play this off as like, it's totally a joke. No, it's not. Because I promise you, if we dig deep into this topic, he'll have so much to say about
the best Anne of Green Gable TV series. I do totally have opinions.
See, so I shared this with the guys because whenever you do like weird Daniel cat-like behavior bullshit, like I am totally busting your balls in here.
Yeah, of course.
And I shared this with the guys, and I said, in the Anne of Green Gables, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe. And like, no, surely he's kidding.
I know.
No, I promise you. It may have been like a little tongue-in-cheek, but I promise you.
No, I have opinions.
If I bring this up, he will have very real opinions to talk about the Anne of Green Gable TV series that have come out over the years.
Okay, so I may or may not have had a total crush on the original Anne of Green Gables Canadian series. It was still awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So totally had a crush on her.
Yeah.
I will say, here's maybe a little overlap of interest, a little Venn diagram. Are you ready?
Yeah.
You don't believe me, but this is legitimate.
Okay. All right.
So, guess who is in the Canadian series of Anne of Green Gables, who was also one of my all-time favorite comedian TV series actors? Dave Foley.
Oh,
Kids in the Hall.
Foley. Yeah.
Yeah. We should go ahead and squish Dave Foley.
He's lived an interesting life, man.
Yes. Dave Foley was in the Anne of Green Gables Canadian series.
I had no idea.
I met Dave Foley.
I had no idea.
I hung out with Dave Foley.
Well, wait.
At South by Southwest.
Oh, wait, hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on.
He's awesome.
No, wait a minute. You skipped over the best part. It's whenever you totally fanboyed.
Oh, yeah.
In front of Dave Foley.
Totally freaked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he was so nice, he didn't make me feel stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
And then he still hung out with you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why, but he did. Yeah. So, the newest series, I heard it was coming out. Yeah. I saw a preview and I thought, well, it's really well shot and it looks beautiful, but come on, can it really be as good? Yeah. And I watched the first episode and it's rough, man.
Oh.
All I'm going to say is it's amazing and you should watch it, but it is dark.
Oh.
It's dark.
Okay.
Because the truth of the Anne Green Gables story is she's this orphan that was abused and no one wanted, and she gets brought out to a farm and she's not wanted there because even there she's a mistake.
Yeah.
And it finally comes full circle.
Yeah.
Well, in the Canadian version, it's sort of a heartwarming, like, oh, you come from they sort of gloss over the hard parts.
Sure.
In the new series, you realize how bad her life is. She's an orphan. It's bad. It's dark.
Okay.
It's dark.
So, but
I love it.
but it's good.
It's still great.
Okay. All right.
Now the books.
So
they're the best.
It's more gritty, less Pollyanna.
Way more gritty.
Okay.
But definitely worth watching. The books are really amazingly well. Ellen Montgomery.
Right.
Is, I think, and this is real nerd. Are you ready?
You do realize
Van Morrison.
We are now experiencing the death.
Oh, yeah. Of the whole channel. It's all gone now.
The death of at least the Whiskey Tribe podcast.
Oh yeah, it's over now.
That time that they talked about Anne of Green
yeah,
Gables.
totally. No, you can pin this one on me. I'll go down with that. I'm fine with that.
I'm going down swinging, and I'm taking Anne with me.
Ellen Montgomery is to fiction what Van Morrison is to songwriting.
Yeah.
It's very florid but really well written. But she's great.
Okay.
Go read it.
All right.
Now,
fine.
there you
Fine.
go. You're welcome.
So,
You can thank me later.
I honestly, when it comes to opinions of books and movies and TV shows, you just told so many guys to read Anne of Green Gables.
Look, they all need this in their life.
I would push back more
No.
if we weren't in a situation where, like, TV and movies and video games and books, that's the name
That's
of the game.
life. We're all stuck at home. This is all we're
You're
doing.
looking for something new to watch.
Yeah,
and
please
maybe
give me
Anne of
something.
Green
Yeah.
Gables?
Oh, that's great.
In terms of, let me put it this way: if you're still watching, then you're probably, I'm comfortable saying that you're our people.
Yeah.
You're in it for the long haul.
Good night.
So let's open up the conversation a bit, right? The effects of, just how much society and the ability to live and go to your job and all this. How is that affecting stuff on the Wizard Academy side of things?
Oh, it's brutal.
Yeah. So Wizard Academy, for those that are unfamiliar, you are the chancellor of Wizard Academy. It's a nonprofit business school here in South Austin. What is the academy all about?
We teach small business owners how to make more money. We're a communications school primarily with an emphasis on advertising and marketing, but we really dab into every aspect of owning and running a small business.
Yeah.
And for 20 years, we've told them, you have to come here.
Yeah.
To experience what you need to experience so that we can send you back to your business to be more successful.
Well, in just practically speaking, pulling people out of their familiar day-to-day in order to have the new thoughts, the new realizations, the new angle of approach on those problems they've had forever.
Yeah.
You can't do that sitting in the same desk under the same roof around the same people over and over and over
We've always
again.
said we're an escape from your real life and a retreat from the real world full of real demands, so that you can have a new environment to teach you a new perspective, and then bring that back to your business.
And that has been an experience that has fundamentally changed the trajectory of countless businesses for years.
Hundreds, if not thousands.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a family. People, when they graduate at the Wizard Academy, they view this place as family because of the impact it's had.
Well, I think a couple of reasons. One, it's the things that you don't learn in college about business and growth and communication and, dealing with customers and all of that stuff. And also, it's really small class sizes.
Right. We try to keep it no more than 20 people-ish in a class, because then it becomes an event instead of a class.
Yeah, fair enough.
And but all of a sudden, they said, you can't do that anymore.
Right.
And overnight, we had to cancel 3 classes.
Because you can't
was back in
put
March.
that many strangers under one roof. And,
right.
Yeah.
Then they recently allowed us to go ahead and hold events with all the protective, and we started doing things where we test every single student for COVID before they get here.
Yeah.
We wear masks in class. We serve single-serving food instead of buffet style.
Yeah.
We took all these precautions, which cost us an astounding amount of money, but then we had to limit the class sizes. And we discovered recently that that's not sustainable. We can't keep holding classes with all these restrictions in place, and so we're about to face
at least hold classes and not it costing money.
Yeah. We were about to start spending money.
It's a nonprofit, but obviously you are obligated to keep it in the black.
Yeah, the definition of a nonprofit is not making money.
Right.
Even though that's what most of them believe.
Yeah. Nobody's getting rich, but you can't lose money in a nonprofit and still stick around. You have to make sure that you're covering the expenses.
We realized in the last month that we could not sustain keeping small number classes. And so we're trying to refigure how we stay a resource.
Right.
How do we put a hold on in-person classes until it's safe?
Yeah.
But not stop providing resources to the people who more than ever need what we teach.
So I think one of the biggest draws of the academy is the environment. It's the towers, the student mansions, it's the the art and the sculpture, and everywhere you look, there's a story, there's a chapel, and the
so
vista.
we need to double down on what's next that the academy provides.
But at the same time, what I hear you saying, and the thing that I actually want to clearly state, is that isn't going anywhere.
No.
That's waiting.
It's on pause.
That's on pause.
It's on pause. Only on pause.
But in order to make sure that stays healthy and ready for things to normalize again. And we figure out how do we adjust and evolve in the current climate so that we can still provide value.
I would say there's two things the Academy provides that don't exist anywhere else.
Yeah.
That environment
Yeah.
and that community. It's all in one. Community and environment, the students around you that you graduate with and the time and all of that.
Yeah.
The space and the rooms and the tower. Second, a way of thinking that you don't find anywhere else.
Yeah.
We can't do the first for a little while here.
Yeah.
We can still do the second. We can still provide access and education to a way of thinking that you don't find anywhere else in the world.
I think one of the last on-site classes that's probably going to happen before this pause goes into effect is the class that I'm teaching with Brian Brushwood.
And that's next week.
About building, I mean, if you're watching this, it's
too
already
late
done.
now, yeah.
It's already, and quite frankly, neither one of us promoted this.
No, we didn't.
Because we knew we can't have a big class.
Yeah, we limited it down to a small size just for this reason.
Yeah, and we're going to have, several people in there, but enough for social distancing and wearing masks and the whole pain in the ass thing.
And we made Rex take a test.
Yeah, I took that yesterday. You've taken those?
I've taken 7 of them now.
Yeah, that was the first one I had taken because I have no life. I go home and I come here. But it was fun. I had no idea how it worked, and it makes sense.
Yep.
Yeah. Have you ever you have to spit in a little vial? Let me put it
well, there's 3 versions of the test.
Right.
There's the test your brain with a stick.
Right. You poke your brain.
Yeah. Then there's the swab your nose with a stick.
Right.
And then there's the spit test.
I did the spit test.
Yeah, we did a spit test because even though it won't catch early onset, it'll catch like when you're like 3 days in or so.
Sure.
So you have to have had it for a couple of days, but it still works.
Look, there's this vial.
Yeah.
There's a lot.
It's surprising how much spit you need to fill a vial.
Yeah. So I'm like less than a third of the way through this vial, and I'm staring because there's a
the nurse is sitting there.
Yeah, there's a medical professional on Zoom to
Yeah.
confirm that you're the right person taking this test, so we can get the results, and it's the whole thing. So they're watching you do it. They're walking you through it, and there's this moment where I got nothing left, and I'm looking at her.
I'm parched.
And then she looks at me and she goes, "Do you have any pickles?"
Oh, no way.
Yeah. Do you have any pickles? And we just happen to have pickles from like the episode we just recorded an episode the day before. So I got the can of pickles, and I'll be damned if you need to, salivate. You smell some pickles.
No way.
Totally works.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
All right.
Science, the more you know. Ding, ding, ding.
So it's good that the Academy it's paused,
and it's pausing specifically so that we never lose the opportunity to have what we had before. Right. So
okay.
Yeah.
Let's shift.
It's exhausting.
Final gear. Let's shift gears. We talked about the distillery. We talked about the community. We talked about the effort and the political scene. We talked about the Academy stuff. In Daniel Whittington world, what's going on? How you doing? Did you see what happened here? Just a quick moment. Did you see what happened? Just asking Daniel, how you doing?
I feel uncomfortable.
That'd be good.
Look, that's personal. I don't want to talk about personal
I just asked.
No.
Hold on. This is all I asked. I asked, how you doing?
I'm not doing it.
I asked Daniel.
I don't want to talk about
the only thing I said was, how you doing?
I'm a very private person. I want to talk about my personal life.
I just asked how you doing.
I don't like it.
So you're doing all right?
I want to talk about it. People are going to think they know me. No one knows me.
You do realize. You do realize.
Okay.
You want to ask me how I'm doing?
How you doing, Rex?
I'm struggling, man.
I'm already uncomfortable again.
I knew it. Okay. Here's what's happening.
But you want to call Brandy? She should be sitting here.
No. Here's what's happening. I'm going to tell you exactly what's happening because you're shaking it off. You're shaking it off. It's clinging to you. Here's what's happening. You and I think one of the reasons why we work really well together with minimal drama is the ability for us to tap dance around any kind of like uncomfortable loaded issue. Benefit of the doubt. We're both amazing at giving each other benefit of the doubt. It's like, yeah, it's fine, it's good. And then figuring out solutions rather than problems. We don't bitch about stuff. We fix stuff. Mm-hmm. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
You and I, we're both raised in families where our ability to avoid things.
Just don't worry about it.
Top tier.
Don't worry about it.
Top freaking tier.
No upside to it. There's no upside.
There's no upside.
Only downside.
But this is a little experiment, right? I'm going to tell you right now. Are you ready? Because as comfortable as you are talking about, whatever's going on with you, right? You don't have to talk about. But the moment that somebody else starts to open up, it's even worse.
Because I have to. Because you're looking at me. Quit looking at me.
You want Dan to save you? Dan's not going to save you.
Maybe. Come over here and care. Is that a threat?
Okay. You ready? You ready for me to share?
Sure. You share one thing, I'll share one thing.
Okay. Like a real thing? No.
Yes.
Yes. A real thing.
Yes.
This is okay.
Stop asking. I'm going to back out.
Okay. Real thing. Struggling a little bit because, I think with the Rona and the situation, the amount that most people's lives have been turned upside down. Mm-hmm. It's my God, the crap that people are dealing with.
It's insane.
Yeah, and quite frankly, the crap that I haven't had to deal with. It's been, a really negligible impact. I got this. There's a lot of inconveniences and stresses and stuff and all that. But the thing that is actually been really hard for me personally for several weeks now is in coming up with episode ideas and ridiculous things that I want to be able to keep doing well. Because I see the Whiskey Tribe as just, an escape from the bullshit in people's lives.
With quality content.
Yeah, the inspiration that I have always been able to draw from of just Magnificent Bastards and people and like the good times and shenanigans, whenever those are few and far between, holy shit, man.
Yeah, when everyone is sort of just struggling but trying to find a way to make it work.
And I don't want to be one of these channels that's like, well, I have a platform and I'm going to give my opinion on politics and what people are doing wrong and doing right. I do think it's important for people to have some ways to escape and just, relax, put it out of your mind. You're always going to have to deal with the bullshit in your life. But I see the tribe as like an oasis.
Right.
A place to just get away from that for a moment before you get back into the grind.
Because you can't escape it.
So you can't escape it. Never advocating that people live in this la-la land of ridiculum, which is a word, by the way, ridiculum. Dan and I looked it up. But having that place at least fun and interesting, that you can hang out and just get a little dose of feeling good.
Right.
Just because it's like fun people and it's silly and it's goofy and it's ridiculous.
It's community.
And being able to come up with ideas and things to do with the community and with our content, it feels like I'm pulling stuff out of I'm trying to work in a vacuum. Like there's no oxygen. It's like, gosh, just dry bones. Which I don't say that to complain. I say that to give a nod that it's there, because I think one of the most important things that has to happen before you can get past something is to acknowledge that it exists. And this is me acknowledging that it exists. So hopefully I can move past it. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. You gonna share your thing?
Okay. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
I just.
You got this. You got this, Daniel. You got this. We need more whiskey. Oh, by the way, is this dry week?
Sure.
Like if there's
we're shooting this like 3 weeks ahead.
If there's dry week, we'll put it on the screen right now. If there's not, don't worry about it. Okay.
Okay. So, Jesus.
All right, go ahead.
So quit looking at me. Get back behind your computer screen.
Dan keeps like there's Dan.
He does. He's looking at me.
There's
like,
Dan's screen.
Bullshit.
There's Dan's computer monitor, and Daniel keeps saying.
Yeah. Okay. Everyone shut the fuck up. God damn it.
We're so good. You gonna get more? Wait, more whiskey?
I'm going to Compass Box. Okay, so here's the thing.
Yeah.
Everybody I know who's legit and knows things and is talented still has some element of imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
If only people knew the real me, they would know I don't belong here.
Sure.
I can't believe I'm in charge of Wizard Academy. Like that, I mean, I feel like I'm doing a good job of shit. If I look at what's happened over the last 7 years, I feel very proud of what I've done.
Yeah. I think there's across the board improvements. Yeah.
No, and there's no question that the people that I think their opinion matters, they've said you're fine.
Right.
But I know me, and I feel like we've hit the one moment when everyone in the community that I am helping build and grow and support is in like the great crisis of our generation.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be able to help.
Yeah.
Like what I'm trying to accomplish is a good idea.
Right.
But is it real? Does it have legs? Is it going to be the difference between them surviving and not surviving?
Yeah.
Like everyone that I care about right now at the Wizard Academy is in survival mode.
Right.
And my fear is that I'm standing on the pier while they're drowning going, here's a good idea. Swim with a breaststroke. Try a backstroke.
So,
hold your breath longer. But I'm not throwing them a life vest or throwing them. I'm not actually providing real value.
It's really interesting that you threw out the imagery of a peer in teaching, because as you were saying this, I very, very specifically had this thought of you and the academy and the things that you teach people. It teaches people how to do free diving. You know what this is?
Right. Oh no, I know free diving.
So basically, you train people how to dive like human beings.
Yep.
How to dive without oxygen,
right,
to incredible depths,
right,
things that should not be possible,
right.
Teaching people how to do that, and that's what people can learn how to do. They can train, they can practice, they can get better and better over time. But
when they dive,
but hold on, it's a different situation. But that's the skill set that we can help people become exponentially better at,
right.
But there is this volcano right offshore, and the volcano has filled the atmosphere with so much ash and soot and bullshit that whenever you're getting ready and you're trying to do that dive and you're taking in all this air, there's no oxygen right now.
Yeah.
So
and
the volcano is going to settle down
someday.
Right now it's just spewing a bunch of bullshit, but the free diving techniques, it's like, yeah, this is a different situation. We're not, you can't fill your lungs and get ready and prep your body and get down there and
my great fear is also that when you do that dive, you dive alone. I don't care who your coach was and who your support team was, and what you've learned. When you dive alone. And all of these people we've been teaching and helping and supporting and our community has helped build up, they still have to dive alone.
Yeah.
And it scares me. And it worries me the amount that aren't going to come up for air. I mean, that's why I'm so passionate about the fighting for the distilleries. Yeah. Because I just want to see everyone come back up for air.
That does feel like, you know what? We can throw some elbows. And we got a real shot of doing some damage and making some change, getting some eyes and ears on a situation, and changing the rules, changing the game in ways that should have been done, quite frankly, a long time ago.
We can impact momentum.
Yeah.
But...
Explain that, momentum.
We can impact whether something's moving slowly or quickly, or whether something's moving with weight. But it doesn't necessarily mean that the final outcome is what we wanted.
Yeah. But I will say that big picture, mile high view, for us to have a community of magnificent bastards who believe that it's
community is more important than opinion.
Yeah, it's the people around the bottle, not that liquid that's in it.
Yeah, Freddie at Buffalo Trace, he was maybe the world's most famous tasting guide and distillery guide.
Yeah,
he always he told the story. If you will watch the movie, I think it's neat. He said he had this really expensive rare bottle.
Yeah,
and he poured it for him and his dad and his brother. Tiny little amount, and then he capped the bottle. His dad said, "What are you doing?" Yeah, he's like, "Well, it's a really rare whiskey. It's just a little bit." Yeah. And his dad said, "We are the fragile part of this equation. Yeah. Not the whiskey. There will always be great whiskey. Right. It's us that's the fragile part of this equation."
Hey, please check out the links in the bottom of in the description there to help us fund this effort. It is a long shot. Worst case scenario, though, I'm going to get you, Magnificent Bastards, some free shipping there on the store. Fair enough? Fair enough. You doing okay?
I can't focus.
You can't. Bye.
Yeah. We bop and hippity hop.